Imagine, for a moment, that you have never played a video game before. No long nights playing Fortnite with friends, no fathoms-long grinds to max your EVs, no tears at an amazing story. In this world, someone turns on a TV in front of you, and it displays what you know in this world to be Super Mario 64. The person that turned on the game places a controller in your hands and utters 3 words to you. Save the princess. How would you do it? It might seem simple at a glance. You'd trial and error all the controls, play the levels, grab the stars, and eventually face off with Bowser, freeing Peach from his clutches. Now. Perhaps it seems that simple from where you are, but there are tons of things going on in your subconscious. There are a million little details silently pointing you in the direction you need to go. The moment you gain control of Mario, you have a giant castle in front of you, and a path leading straight to it. When you get inside, you're likely to explore left to right, leading you straight to Bob-omb Battlefield. In the level, you can follow the path right in front of you, right up the mountain to King Bob-omb. Upon defeating him, the game simply tells you that Whomp's Fortress is now unlocked, guiding you there. One thing leads to another, and the developers guide you on the path to Princess Peach. There's a reason Mario 64 is heralded as one of the video games ever, but that's because even now, it understands what you need to make an open-world game feel less intimidating. To understand what I mean, let's take a look at one of the most intimidating open-world games ever to exist. Before that though, I have to warn you, this video is a certified opinion fest. You may not agree with what I have to say, and that's fine. Good even. Please, if you want to make your difference known, leave a comment. Keep it civil, and I might even have a little discussion with you about it. But if you really want to talk though, my Discord server is a better place for it. Now, with that out of the way. What the hell is going on? Now, obviously Minecraft isn't intimidating in the traditional sense, but it is in the creative sense. What I mean by that is, if you were dropped into Minecraft with no clue what's going on, you wouldn't realistically make it very far. I'm not going to reiterate my bit from the intro, but there is an amazing video by Retro Gaming Now that covers the topic in relation to Minecraft extensively. Links in the didgeridoo. In short, Minecraft was built for friends, for communities, and most importantly, the internet. The game was designed to be beaten with help. The original developers didn't consider the solo, uneducated experience when building the progression of the game, and by the time they got wise to the problem, it was too late. Hell, the Nether, a critical piece of progression, an unavoidable fact of every Minecraft playthrough, started as a secret hell dimension as part of a Halloween update. Only when it got closer to 1.0 release did Notch make it home to Nether fortresses and blazes. By then, the Nether was common knowledge. People already knew how to make a Nether portal, they knew what to bring, and how to survive. The game released, and the thought, how will noobs access the Nether, rarely crossed any minds. They didn't even bother explaining it in the Minecraft Essential Handbook. In fact, the only mention of the Nether in the entire book is a throwaway line about not placing a bed there. Apparently, beating the game isn't essential. Thanks, Mojang. On a different tack, Minecraft is an infinite game. Almost. Well, infinite enough. You could play the same world day in and day out your whole natural life and still not see it all by the time you kick the bucket and pass it on to your next of kin. That is far from a bad thing, but it means the game is something different for everyone. For some people, it's a calm retreat from a stressful life. For others, it's a creative outlet and an opportunity to make something incredible. For others, it's a grind fest fit for an MMO. Oh wait, there is a Minecraft MMO. I'll leave discussion of that to my brother though. That is definitely not this, and this is certainly not that, but the fact that all of them can coexist in tandem is a testament to the versatility of Minecraft as a whole. You can go as slow or as fast as you want, and not even traditionally progress at all, and still have the same amount of fun. On the spectrum of open world progression, Minecraft sits squarely on the open end. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a game that sits on the other side of the world from Minecraft's non-linearity. That's not to say it isn't an open world game, because, that's a big... When the game came out, it was praised across the board for its sprawling open world and its non-linear, hands-off approach to its gameplay, and it definitely deserves that. The ups and downs in comparison to Minecraft have to do with the nature of the points of interest on offer. If you walk 1,000 blocks in Minecraft, you could see any number of things. Just in a couple minutes of zooming around in spectator mode, I saw a flooded ravine, a scenic shipwreck, a jungle temple hidden in the trees, a sprawling canyon, and a mountainous village with buried secrets. In Breath of the Wild, you could do the same thing and find similar wonders, but they're a lot more finite. Eventually, you will reach the end of the map. However, Zelda's edge over Minecraft is in the content of those sites. Think back to that village in the mountains. It wasn't placed there by anyone. It has no meaning. Those buried secrets I mentioned were just a cave underneath it that juts into the mountain. There is no meaning there until you see it, until you give it its meaning. Even the smallest landmarks in Breath of the Wild have significant meaning, love poured into each brushstroke forming the landscape. A beautiful mountain in Minecraft is just that, a quirk of world gen. In Breath of the Wild, it's Satori Mountain, created in remembrance of Satoru Iwata, who sadly passed during the game's creation. It's home to absurd quantities of hearty meal ingredients, and if you come at the right time, you can find the fabled Lord of the Mountain, Satori itself. Meaning is not only pre-packaged, it's dense. Layers and layers of love and dedication were poured into every inch of Hyrule. As scummy a company as Nintendo can be, when they make something beautiful, they knock it out of the park. For a more mixed point, Breath of the Wild's story is very disjointed due to the fact that from the moment you get the paraglider, you can go anywhere. The Divine Beasts were meant to be completed in any order, and that's a blessing and a curse. On one hand, the sense of freedom for the player is overwhelming. You could do anything. On the other hand, the way they chose to handle the Divine Beast quests themselves was questionable. They turned out very formulaic when you got used to it. You get to a regional village, watch a short cutscene showing you the beast terrorizing the place, or Vodmeadow just kind of sitting there. Speak to the Elder, meet the champion's descendant, run an errand, come back, get to know the champion, wonder why you couldn't just work with them instead, except for Riju. Riju's cool. Do a minigame with the descendant to get inside the beast, meet the champion's ghost, find the map, solve 5 puzzles by rotating sections of the beast to activate terminals associated with them, return to the main console, fight I Can't Believe It's Not Ganon, free the champion's spirit, gain their ability, and leave. The only differences are in theming, and even then, from the inside every Divine Beast looks nearly identical. In a perfect world, the beasts would be unique, but as it stands, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. The same goes for all the other mini-dungeons, the shrines. They all look identical, and even worse, all 120 of them fall into distinct categories. I won't go into all that here, it's all been parroted by hundreds of people before, but I highly recommend looking into it on your own time. If you want more smaller things out of the world than shrines, though, you're pressed for options. You can find little bosses scattered around like Lionels, and stone taluses. You know what, I give up. And maybe an occasional monster camp, but that isn't really a reason to be anywhere beyond a major settlement or a shrine. And that's a crying shame because this is my favorite world to ever come out of a Nintendo game, or maybe even a AAA game in general. On the open world scale, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sits near the middle. It starts fairly linear, but then it opens up explosively. Whether that's good or bad, I leave for you to decide. For the last game I wanted to take a look at today, I wanted to put all the things discussed previously to the test, and to see them all done right in one game. If you saw my last big video, you know it, you love it. It's FNaF World, baby! Woo! Yeah, FNaF World, let's go! Subnautica. It's Subnautica. Subnautica is, in my opinion, the lightning in a bottle of open world games. The way progression is handled is baked into the very foundation of the game, and replicating it while bringing new stuff to the table and improving on what was there before is nigh impossible, as proven by the sequel. The first major point in Subnautica's favor is also its most fundamental: depth. Now, that could mean many different things, but here I mean it at its most literal. You literally have a depth meter at the top of your screen at all times. In the early game, you mainly are expanding outwards, scanning blueprints to let you scan more blueprints. Before long, though, you have to go down. Without a vehicle, you're limited by how much oxygen you have, and even when you get a vehicle, you're limited by its crush depth. It doesn't feel forced or gatekeepy because all this exists in real life. In fact, the game throws a massive bone your way by not giving you a crush depth. In Breath of the Wild, the game had to account for you being everywhere all at once and then going everywhere else. Unknown Worlds didn't have to do that because until a certain point in progression, you simply can't get down there. Well, you can, but at that point you've earned the sequence break. And speaking of, the game's story actually works in the context of you being allowed anywhere on the surface. The radio transmissions you receive periodically simply guide you to places that are beneficial to you, like the Sparse Reef and the Mountain Island, which in turn guides you to the Floating Island, then to the Jelly Shroom Caves, Grand Reef, and Wada Wada Bing Bang, you've saved the world! Subnautica takes the player on a fairly linear path, but that's not a bad thing. Without it, you wouldn't have had much of a reason to go anywhere. You would miss crucial fragments and get stuck very low down on the tech tree. You just quit out of boredom. Open world games are nothing without a reason to explore them, and that's what Subnautica perfected. Minecraft suffers from the blank canvas dilemma, the feeling of not knowing what to do next. Breath of the Wild suffers from being too committed to its open concept, bogging itself down with all these player contingencies. Subnautica suffers from none of it. Throughout heaven and earth, it alone... What? Alright. My PR team has advised me that I'm not allowed to make that joke. All that aside, though, Subnautica isn't without flaws. It's buggier by a long shot than either of the other games, and not always in a fun way. Sometimes your vehicles can just peace out of bounds, never to be seen again. And so can the fish. Especially the big fish. The game also runs worse than the others, which is a hell of a feat considering... And... Needless to say, a little indie team made a big boy indie game, and that's to be commended despite any performance issues. All in all, Subnautica stands on the linear end of the open world scale, and I honestly think that's a good thing. Knowing how your players should get from point A to point B is essential to creating an enjoyable experience for them. I haven't touched on half the issues with most AAA offerings nowadays, like map markers, quest lines, so on and so forth, but I don't think they're all bad. Sometimes people just don't want to think about where they're going, they just want to ride their horse to the big beacon over yonder, and that's okay. The real struggle is striking a balance between the casual and the cringe, and that's not the easiest thing in the world to get right. The advice I can give is this: know your demographic. There's no way to please everyone, but if you play your cards right, you can at least please someone. But hey, what do I know? I've never developed a game in my life. Something tells me, though, that if I really tried, I could do it. And you know what? So could you. So get out there and do what you really want to do. Don't let anyone stop you, and if they try, succeed to spite them. You are worth it. Thank you so much for watching. The response to my last video essay was astounding, so I'm here to give the people what they want. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like it, comment any comments, and subscribe for the next one. I don't know how to thank all of you, especially because there's just so many of you now, but I'll do my best. 200 is just such an absurd number, and I really didn't think I'd reach it, so thank you, and you in the back. More fun stuff is coming soon, and I'm grateful for every moment that I get to take this journey with you. So sit back, relax, and stay tuned.